let's see what we got here. Hey everybody, Joshua here. I was just going to do a video demonstration on how you can use sacred geometry to find different musical progressions, or even just relate the geometry of you could see a physical representation of the geometry of music. Of course, we're only using the 12-note chromatic scale for this. There are other methods to use for just intonation and all that, but today we're just going to keep it simple, very Western, and we're going to stick with the chromatic 12-note scale. So anyhow, you see I've already drawn a circle here, and I'm using a compass with a pencil, which is good if you want to erase if you make a mistake, but I don't have an eraser, so I'm just going to sort of wing it. And you'll notice I got the 1-inch setting on my compass here, and for those of you using the metric system, I'm on just about the 4th centimeter here. Alright, so as I said, I've got the first circle already drawn here. You can see the little point in the middle, but one thing when you're doing this, if you want your flower to have the petals so that you got one pointing up and one pointing down, you're going to want to put your circle directly above your second circle, above your first circle. You can make any flower life pattern with a second circle being anywhere on this edge, of course, but today we're going to just draw it right up here so that we get one that faces up and down. Alright, so let me see here. Alright, make sure you're centered on the first point, and I just do like a semicircle since we're not making a full flower here. We're just sort of getting the seed. Alright, and so if you remember how to make this, you want to go to the next intersecting point, put your compass down, make sure you're lined up with the center again, and we're going to just do another semicircle. Like I said, we're not making a full flower today. Okay, and you do this 6 times, so a total of 7 circles. Alright, so we're gonna keep on trucking here. Make sure we're centered and go for it. And for those of you not familiar with sacred geometry at all, Wikipedia has a great article on the flower of life, which is a good start, or the way I discovered it was through a sort of a web video series known as Spirit Science, which you can find on YouTube. I actually found it on Newgrounds, but you can find the bulk of the episodes on YouTube. Alright, so we got our seed of life. If you can see that, I hope it's a little light, but you get the gist. There's 6 points, and the reason we're going to do this, the reason it's even useful at all as pertaining to the 12-note chromatic scale is, well, think about it. You got a 6-petal flower, and you have 12 notes, so 6 is a multiple, or 12 is a multiple of 6, right? Or however you say that. So we got the 6. And then in between, we can fill in the blanks, and that's exactly what we're going to do. I'm going to use a pen for this, and what we're going to do is mark. We'll mark our 6 petals here, very obvious, big bullets if we can. You could use any shape, but this is easier for what we're going to do next. You'll see. Okay, and you see that now. A little bit of guesswork here. You may have to eyeball it. You could also measure it if you really wanted to, but I'm just going to sort of eyeball it here. If you wanted like extremely perfect results, I guess you could spend a lot more time on this, but for the sake of this video, we're just going to sort of eyeball it. And there we go. So what do you know? We've got 12 points representing our 12 notes. Now from this stage we could choose to make a circle of fifths and relate it to that. And for those of you who are very into music theory, that is a useful way to do it. Although you'll notice if you do that, the major scale sticks on sort of one side every time. And in relation to the geometry of making, like, let's say a triangle, which uses all of the sides, well, you're going to end up with extra sharps and flats that don't really make a lot of sense. You can still do it that way, and you'll come up with some interesting things that you could work with. But what we're going to do here is just sort of in order of the notes, just sort of label everything. And just as a general rule, we like to start with C, since most of music is based around that. All right, so what we got here? Alrighty, we got C sharp, right? D. And an easy way to really do this, if you know the major scale of C, you know that there's no sharps and flats, and you also know that it's a whole step and another whole step. So what's after D? E, right? Okay, and then a half step, so it'd be whole step, half step for C major, and F is the next one, and there's no sharp or flat there. So then we're going to go another whole step, and whole step, and then a half back to C. And this will help you fill in the blanks if you're not really familiar with the, well, when do I put a sharp and when do I put a flat? How do I know which one has the gap and not? This is a good way to do that. So okay, so again, it's whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, and then half to get back. So here we are at F. A whole step away from F is, of course, G. Now that's technically the last letter before the loop again, so the next one will be A. I don't have, if you wanted to really think about that and scratch your head over why, that'd be a whole nother video. So here we go, and then we're going to go to B, because we know, yeah, well, it's after A, B, C, D, you know the whole bit. Okay, and so what you could do in between here is put the flat to the one following, or a sharp to the one previous. And the only time it would matter, the difference, is depending on your scale, and of course that's diving more into the music theory side. Let's have more fun and draw some pretty pictures here in a second. I'm just going to fill in, just for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to put sharps after the previous note. So there is no, okay, so here we go, F sharp. And then we got G sharp, and we have A sharp. Again, you could have put B flat or D flat, or you could have mixed and matched even, but sake of simplicity, huh? Alright, there's something to be said about that. Okay, so we have all our 12 notes here, and we know that the major scale is always going to be a whole step, a half step, a whole step, whole step, whole step. And what we can do with this now, this diagram, is let's say we were to map that out. In fact, I'll even, well, I have an example already in here about it. If we were to map out the major scale, we see it's a whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, and then a half to return. This is the shape you end up with. And it's really sort of this weird polygon-ish thing. What's interesting about this, and a friend of mine actually came up with a technique, like a tool, a real tool he could use. He cut this shape out on a separate piece of paper and sort of tacked it on the center here, and he has labeled this as his root note. So if you were to move this outer shape, since it's a separate movable piece, and you wanted to do the C sharp major scale, it would line out what the next notes are for you in that scale, and you wouldn't have to do really any thinking, because you already know it's a full step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, and back to return. So if you were to shift everything, all the corresponding points would just shift on their own, and it's really neat. You could have a lot of fun with something like that. And as you see here, I've taken already, and this is actually from my previous example, but that was not on a video. I have pretty well just drawn a straight up triangle over top of here, and I wrote down the corresponding notes that went with it. You could again tack this on as a separate cutout piece and twist and turn it and see what all these different kind of note combinations you end up with. And some of them are going to sound really kind of silly and maybe not work, but dependent on the shape you make and how either simple or complicated it is, you can really end up with some very interesting things. You know what, as another example to show you what you can do with this is I have actually, believe it or not, mapped out okay, so if you're familiar with the Fibonacci spiral, this is the Fibonacci spiral right here. It's a sequence that a lot of people are familiar with. Basically, it's 1, 1, 3, 5, and then it just keeps on adding the previous number, and that's how you would graph it. But what we could do instead of doing that is, let me see if I can find my example here. It's really kind of neat. I took one of these diagrams that I made, and you see I've done this a bunch of times, come up with all kinds of neat stuff. This is actually literally over the circle of fifths, and that's the major scale. So that gives you an idea of the difference in what we're doing here. We're not doing the circle of fifths because of this reason. You see it all appears on the half right there, instead of this beautiful full shape of the same picture. This is the same as that. Well, I seem to have lost it, but as that other shape. Well, here we are. That's the same as that, believe it or not. So this is why I chose to do it the way I have. And you see, I've got all these awesome, neat little things you can do, neat different shapes you can draw over your shape. But what I wanted to show you, and it's around here somewhere. Oh, here we go. I sort of very elaborately drew this. And again, this is over the circle of fifths, but you can take and it's the same diagram. Just you'll notice that the position of the notes are different. We don't have C sharp next. C sharp would be, let's see here. Well, I have it marked as D flat over here. And but what you could have done is just line this out the way that I had showed you, and your starting point. So remember, if you're familiar with the Fibonacci spiral, it starts at 0, and then it goes 1, and then 1 plus 0 is 1, so it goes 1 again. 1 plus 1 is 2, so we skip 2 points, goes straight over to here, and you'll notice the little 2 there. What is 2 plus 1? Well, it's 3, so here's 1, 2, 3 points away. We drew a line straight over there. And I did this, I added the previous number and over again, and I even wrote it out, marked all the different discoveries I found. Of course, this is pertaining to the circle of fifths, but I could have done this with our diagram right now. And all the way up, actually, sort of unnecessarily, into the well over the millions. I'm into the, let's see here, this must be trillions here. So this gives you an idea. Oh no, this is just billions. This gives you an idea of really how far you can go with this. But now let's go back to our example and sort of finish up here and give you an idea of what you really can enjoy about this. So if you want to, let's say, discover a progression, a new progression that is not like maybe unorthodox even, you can do that. You can sort of decide a shape predetermined in your mind, like anything as simple as that triangle I showed you, to mapping out not even a real shape, but Fibonacci, just by counting and so on and so forth. But what we'll do is, for the sake of simplicity, because everybody knows that if you can't explain something in a simple matter, then you really don't know what's going on. So let's be real simple about this. What's this right here? We see it looks kind of like a hexagon, right? Well, heck, let's hexagon this right on up. Got my straight edge here. And I'm going to be a little bit more careful this time, but I could have been a lot more careful to begin with, and we would end up with a lot more symmetry when I'm done here. But I'm gonna just take it easy. I'm not even gonna think too hard about this. Let's see. We're just basically I'm connecting the points of the flower on this shape that I'm building for you. Give you an idea what you can discover and sort of use this tool for. I gave you sort of a lot more information than I had expected to, but I hope that you'll find some of it or all of it to be somewhat useful to you when working with these 12 chromatic notes. Okay, and we're just about there. I found this ruler on the side of the road, and so it's a little beat, but still works. Alright, so we've got ourselves a hexagon. Well, how about this? We'll just this is my starting point that I decided. I could say that this was my starting point since it's all connected, but I'm going to just be very simple about this and write down in the order, starting with my first note, what notes appear on my little pattern here. We've got a C, a D, an E. Well, look at that. We skipped right past F, so we got F sharp here. Then we got a G sharp and an A sharp. Wasn't that interesting? This is not any particular scale that anyone really will tell you about. So we've just made a discovery here. Perhaps it's been used before, but perhaps also it was not found in this fashion. So you can have a ton of fun with this. You can, like I said, you can draw triangles and write down the different letters you find that way. You can just be all sorts of silly, and I'll give you maybe just a couple more tastes of that and how much fun you can really have with this. Let's see. So here's some more ideas of just how silly you can get with this. I've drawn shapes that don't appear to really make any sense. Trying to just sort of figure out what the applications really are to this. And here's some of my first stuff that I figured out, and you'll notice that my flower does not go up and down on this one. This was my first one that I drew. This was a while back, about a year ago I want to say, and I didn't realize that picking the second circle mattered dependent on which way I wanted the flower to go. So you'll see I fixed that in my second shot here. Merkaba, I even outlined a shape like a Merkaba, by the way, I should mention, is a little bit more complicated to map because you got to pick your starting point for both shapes because there's just two shapes overlapping. So I've got it right here, and it tells me what I have. And then you can do 3D shapes, which is equally difficult to think about because you've got this hexagon all the way around. So I mapped that out. Then you've got this top piece, so I mapped that out. This side piece, I mapped it out, and so on and so forth. You know what I mean? And even this center equilateral triangle, I've got that written all out. So, like I said, you can really just have a great time drawing cute little shapes and stuff and writing down what you discover. You can use the circle of fifths if you like. You can use what we've discussed here if you like. I just think that it's in my experience now doing this, I found that the circle of fifths is less than helpful sometimes if you really don't. Let's say you didn't really know your stuff, and I really don't. I mostly like to draw pretty pictures. So, okay, I hope that the video was helpful to you, and it certainly taught me a lot. So, please share with your friends, and I hope that the rest of your day is awesome. I would love to see some video responses to this, or just if you would like to send me your discoveries and stuff. I would love to see that. Check me out on Facebook. I'll even put that in the description here. So, right on, guys. Namaste.